guys, this is Johnson from Coraboeuf, aka Coco, the 2019 Australian Strongest Man, and you're watching World's Strongest Man.
Hey guys, today's video is all about John-Stephen Coraboeuf. He was a new athlete to this year's World's Strongest Man. I wanted to share some clips and show you a little bit more about him. Now, he lives in Australia, but he is a Frenchman. He owns a gym called Coco's Gym on the Gold Coast, and they're actually celebrating their 8th year. If you speak to anyone, they'll tell you he's got the best strongman gym in Australia, so if you ever happen to be in that neck of the woods, I would highly suggest going and checking it out. The address is also on the screen just in case you need it. Now, next up, I wanted to share a bit of information around him as a competitor. Back in 2019, he won Australia's Strongest Man, and up until this year, that was the last time they had that competition. He's also competed at the Arnold Classic. This one, the Arnold Australia, doing the Viking press in front of Arnold himself. Now, the caption he had below the video was, "The only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work for them." He states it was a dream come true pressing in front of Arnold Schwarzenegger himself at the Arnold Pro Show, and you better believe it, I'm working for World's Strongest Man. Well, this year, that dream came true. Now, not only did he compete at World's Strongest Man 2022, he did awesome. You'll see from the photographs, he was able to press the log and also made it to that stone eliminator in the heats. I won't ruin it and tell people that don't know how he finished, but obviously you can see he definitely came top 2 in his group, and that definitely shows that he's an athlete that deserves to be there. Now, something I want to briefly mention is he competed as a Frenchman. Even though he lives in Australia, it's his home, and he's been there for over a decade, John-Stephen is actually French, and it kind of worked out really well for World's Strongest Man, because they've been looking for a Frenchman for ages. Also, it works in John-Stephen's favour, because he can now compete at next year's Europe's Strongest Man. I know this hasn't been officially announced, but guess what? I've been leaked the information and I'm going to share it with you now. So expect to see much more of John-Stephen coming up at Giants live shows in 2023. So he's just competed at World's Strongest Man, but how good is he really? Well, here's a clip of him doing an Atlas Stone at Australia's Strongest Man a few years ago. The weight is 205 kilos or 452 pounds, and he didn't really struggle there. Next up, he's doing a dumbbell. Again, another event that comes up quite often in Strongman. And the weight of this is 100 kilos or 220 pounds. John-Stephen, really good technically, and that press was no issue for him. Speaking of pressing, I think that's one of his strengths. If you check out his channel, I'll leave a link in the description, you'll notice he does an awful lot of overhead pressing. That's definitely going to have helped him out at this year's World's Strongest Man. Here he is on the bar from the rack, pressing 160 kilos or 352 pounds for 5 reps using a push press technique. Now, if that's not impressive, maybe this is. It's another push press, but it's a 1 rep max. The most recent clip I could find was 195 kilos or 430 pounds, and later on when I show you the size difference between John-Stephen and some of the larger monsters, you'll see how impressive that really is. Now, next up, he's doing a log press. This is on his favourite log. The end caps are actually based on a building in Lithuania, and I believe it's been made by a company called Stand or Submit. The weight is 180 kilos or 396 pounds strict. That's impressive. Next up, he's doing some front squats. The weight on the bar today is 160 kilos or 352 pounds for 6 reps. John-Stephen's got loads of clips on his channel, pressing and doing other events, but I couldn't find many of him squatting. And interestingly, the most recent one was of a front squat. And also notice how he's using those straps almost as a handle, a very smart move and puts him in a good position. Now, next I wanted to talk about his grip strength. The first event is a farmer's walk with the weight of 160 kilos or 352 pounds in each hand. John-Stephen moving steadily, and his grip is definitely not going to give out. He takes it the full length of the run, and that's no problem for him. Next up, he's doing another grip event. This looks like it was held at Australia's Strongest Man back in 2019. It's a dumbbell gauntlet. There's multiple dumbbells that John-Stephen has to lift up to that platform with one arm. They range from 28 kilos all the way up to 78 kilos, and you'll notice he alternates his hands just to make sure he doesn't tax his grip. He's nearly there and making it look pretty easy. He moves over to his left arm for this, and then when he turns around, he goes over to his right arm for the final dumbbell, so I'm going to assume that's his stronger arm. He places it down and gets a really good score for the event. Now up next, it's the super yoke. The weight is not actually that heavy. It's only 310 kilos or 683 pounds for 20 meters. But John Stephen, again, showing he trains all events, and look at the size of that super yoke. It looks awesome. And finally, we're into the fun part. It's the deadlift section. First up, John Stephen's doing a Jefferson deadlift. That's where you pull the bar in between your legs, so you've definitely got to be careful. The weight is 322.5 kilos or 711 pounds. Next up, he's doing a standard deadlift, this time on a standard bar, and he's not pulling from height either. The weight is 375 kilos or 826 pounds, and comparing that to other athletes, you could call this his weakness. Now up next, we've got another variation of the deadlift. This time he's pulling from a height of 18 inches. He's doing it on an axle, and just check out the size of that. Those wagon wheels look awesome. The weight is 410 kilos or 904 pounds for 2 reps. As you can see, John Stephen's definitely got some of the best kit out there, so if you're in Australia, I highly recommend his gym. And the last pull is on a silver dollar deadlift setup. Now I know lots of you guys hate that, but I had to include it because check out the weight. It's 500 kilos or 1,102 pounds. Now earlier on I did mention the size of him. He's not a small guy, but he does look small stood next to the Stoltman brothers. They're absolute monsters. It also puts into perspective how good he is as a strongman. Just remember some of those weights he was moving. Next up, I've got another photograph. This is him stood next to Kelvin de Ruyter, Kim Uyarak and Ethel Melstead. You can see he's pretty much the same size as Kim, so he's not the smallest guy, but he is kind of in the mix. Anyway guys, that's it from me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video on John Stephen Coraboeuf, also known as Coco. Here he is seeing us out, doing a heavy block press. The weight, 130 kilos or 286 pounds, his new personal best. So that's it from me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. And I'll catch you again as always on the next one.
I'm ready to go. 3, 2, 1, go. Come on.
Come on. Come on, back in the woods. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
To the line. Yep, done.